Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the trend line from hell. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also do check out the Telegram channel we have in the description below. We do have we have over 4,100 people. So if you're looking for a community, a high quality community, do check that out. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we've shown this trend line before. It's not a surprise. It's just the general trend line here that basically marks our theoretical short-term limits or our local limits whenever the price of Bitcoin moves up. So basically noting this point here, a second point, maybe a third point, fourth point, and now we've been basically right up against that trend line for a number of weeks. Now the question, right, is, are we going to get pushed down again? And of course, this is always a possibility. There's enough people looking at it. I don't discount the potential path that could theoretically take us, back down, and then then we come back up and then break it later. One of the paths we've talked about, right, is the 200-week moving average, and there's always a chance. You must always be ready for a breakdown to the 200-week, maybe something like that. Let's go ahead and change the color here. So something like that. And then we come back up and then break it, and then kind of go off to the races. So this is one potential path. We could break it now. I mean, there's it's possible that we just shoot through it now, maybe go straight up to 12 or 14K or something, and really begin the bull run. So one of the things I want to talk about is, this trend line, a similar trend line, has existed in other market cycles as well. So if you look at the last market cycle and draw a general trend line, down, showing where we tended to kind of hold resistance. And I should probably draw it to the candle, not the wick. But you can generally see that we had a similar trend line in the last market cycle, and once we broke it, then we went off to the races. And you can see that if we put on the 20-week moving average. Let me go ahead and change this color so it's not clashing there. But you can see that once we broke it, we did hold that 20-week moving average for the duration of the market cycle. So we had a trend line from hell during the last market cycle. We were able to break it, and once we did, the bull market began. The cycle before it, we also had a general downtrend. I mean, you can see it right here. It's a lot steeper, but once we broke it, we went above the 20-week and then held it for basically the duration of the market cycle. Now, one of the things you should note, right, is that in this one, we were below the 20-week when we broke through the trend line. In the second cycle, we were basically right on top of it when we broke through it. And currently, we're above it. So I can't say for sure whether we're going to break it now or not, but it is a possibility, which is why I think it is a little bit ridiculous for some people to wait for the nebulous $1,800 Bitcoin or $3,100 Bitcoin again, because there is a non-negligible chance that we never return to that level. So it's a huge risk to be completely sitting on the sidelines. This is not financial advice, but in my opinion, it would be a huge risk to be sitting on the sidelines completely and assuming that it has to come down. I mean, if you take that path, you may get lucky and it may work out for you. But just recognize that there is a decent chance that in the same manner, Bitcoin finally breaks through, and then we start, moving on up. And one of the things, I noticed is the rate at which we decrease here is changing, right? I mean, if you, let's say, draw like some angles. So let's first just draw it over to when we broke the previous all-time high here. Let's draw it here as well. It doesn't really matter where we draw it to, but I'm just showing you for reference. So let's draw it to here, because I think that's where we'd actually break the all-time high, not right here. But if we did something like that and then drew trend angles, note that these angles would actually depend on your aspect ratio. If you don't know what that means, I'll show it to you in a minute. But let's just say, like, just for argument, that this one's about 66 degrees, 65 degrees. So maybe let's say 66 with this aspect ratio. And then this one might be, I drew it from the wrong one. This one might be around 21, 22, so it looks like around 22 degrees. And then this one is, keep drawing it from the wrong point, maybe around 7 degrees, 8 degrees. It's hard to get these, exact, but you can see it's somewhere around, say, 8 degrees or so. But the reason why the exact numbers here are somewhat irrelevant is because if you change that aspect ratio, the angles would change a lot. So looking at, say, the ratios between them doesn't make a ton of sense just because it can change. But you can see that with these ratios, it is dropping by about a third each time. So again, the actual ratio is irrelevant because you could easily manipulate that. But the important part to take away is the fact that these, the slopes here are changing. They're getting less steep. So here it was very steep, less steep, and then even less steep over here in the current market cycle. So there you can basically see those three trend lines. And then the question, right, is are we going to break this here, or are we going to kick the can down the road and break it some other time? If you take some measured moves to see how long it took to break the trend line, during the first market cycle, it took around 182 days. During the second market cycle, it took around 679 days, give or take. And then in this market cycle, we're currently at around, we're getting close to 1,000 days or so. So, this is something that even in terms of lengthening cycle theory, I feel like also shows it's evidence of lengthening cycle theory to see that, the time it's taking for us to really break through this longer term trend line is changing. Now, obviously, it's not exactly a fair comparison because, had this market cycle, decreased at say this rate over here rather than coming down very quickly and then popping back up, then the trend line could have easily been different. But this is what we have to work with. And so the question, right, is are we going to break the trend line this test at around 9,500, or are we going to kick the can down the road? If you look at, say, the 200-week moving average, let's suppose that what ultimately helps us break it is not where maybe we break it tomorrow or maybe next week or next month. What happens, on the chance that we come back down? Maybe ultimately speaking, the 200-week moving average will help us break it. At the current rate, the 200-week moving average would likely break that trend line in, say, May of 2021. And so this could be the boost that we need to break it if we're unable to, if we continue to come back down and just can't break it. So this would be one idea. And so currently the price of the 200-week moving average is at around 62.50. If we were to continue, say, this general trend here, we might break that trend line at around $7,700. Obviously there's some error in here. So maybe between, say, $7,500 to $8,500 we could break it based on the 200-week moving average, assuming, right, that the price continues to stay, somewhere in these levels. Then we would expect that, the 200-week is going to continue monotonically increasing unless we see, a prolonged period of time where the price is below the 200-week moving average. This is what I'm ultimately, I am watching. I think it would be telling if we could just go ahead and break it. Maybe make a run up to, say, 14K or something, come back down, and then slowly grind our way up to 20K over the next, say, year and a half or so. Something like that is maybe what could happen. If that doesn't happen and we kick the can down the road and it comes back down here and then finally breaks it maybe in, say, sometime in early 2021. Then maybe we slowly grind back up to, say, 20K or something. So these are two very different short-term paths, but ultimately they're likely going to get us to the same point. So we'll see what happens. This is the trend line from hell, yes, but so were the past ones until we broke them. Once we broke them, things got really interesting. So let me know what you guys think about it. Again, the angles aren't important. It depends on the aspect ratio. As you can see, you can easily change what the angles would be. But do let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. Again, if you guys like the content, we do have the premium list into thecryptoverse.com. You get access to a weekly premium video, a newsletter, a Google Sheets dashboard with risk levels, and you get access to a premium Telegram group that has alerts from me, my thoughts on the market, let you know what I'm doing, that sort of stuff. So do check it out if you find it interesting. You can even get a discount if you pay with cryptocurrency for 6 or 12 months. So love to see you guys join. We do have several hundred people that are on the list, and they do seem to find a lot of value in it. If you do have any questions, you can join our public Telegram channel, which has over 4,100 members, and ask people questions about it and get their thoughts. If you aren't interested in joining, that's fine. You could also just join the Telegram channel and talk about, some of the charts. Like, give your opinions on what you think is going on in the market. We do try to keep the Telegram channel to, a higher quality than most Telegram channels. So check it out, give it a try. I realize it's not for everyone, but it is an interesting group, and we do have a lot of really smart people in that group. So check that out. And then remember to subscribe to the video, or subscribe to the channel, and then give the video a thumbs up. Help me in the YouTube algorithm so that other people can find the channel and can enjoy the same content that I'm showing you guys, more of a macroscopic approach to cryptocurrency rather than trying to pull up, say, the 1 hour time frame or the 4 hour time frame and trying to predict short-term moves, which are more of a random walk than I feel like obey any or most technical indicators. So that'll wrap it up for the video. Yes, it's the trend line from hell until it's not. I'll see you next time. Bye.